Welcome to Bring Out Your Badass Self, a movement to break your negative thoughts and habits and instead focus on building each other up and encouraging fearless authenticity.
Each week, we will get vulnerable and share experiences alongside our guests and audience. Come rediscover your inner badass self.
Hey, good morning, badass.
Good morning, badass. How are you doing?
I am good. I am happy to be here this week. Happier. Nowhere near as angry as I was last week.
Oh no. Oh gosh. You've had quite the experience over this past week of dealing with some things. So I want to get into that. I want to first just welcome people as they are joining us today. And so please let us know that you are here. I've had some new people that have said that they're going to be joining. So I'm curious if they end up finding their way and figuring it out. I was like providing some instructions and things like that on how to actually get into this. And so those that are on Facebook, you're having to go to YouTube now because they don't allow us to stream anymore. And then we have individuals joining on LinkedIn. I still haven't decided if I'm wanting to do it on, if we want to do it on Instagram or other things like that. But please let us know that you are here. I do see there are some people that are on. So just let us know, give us a hello as you start to join. And then we'll wait to see if we have a special person that's going to be joining that we want to mention something that happened to her as well. And so Kate, maybe we can just start in with, tell us a little bit about, the potential of finger puppets. Was it your middle finger?
It is.
God, I had no idea. Hilarious.
Yep, it is my middle finger. And so that makes it so much funnier.
Kate's flipping off the world.
Yeah. Good morning, Jake.
Oh, let's say hello to some people. So Kim has joined. She said, good morning and happy Friday to my favorite, beautiful, and amazing badasses. Back at you, girl.
Yes.
Renee is here. We had an amazing time with her. Renee, I received so many people just going, holy shit, people that know you, people that didn't know you. And so thank you so much for joining us and being vulnerable. And if you guys didn't see that, go back and check it out. Yeah.
So one of our colleagues, Jen Wren, she just brought it up yesterday during a meeting with her. She was like, oh my God, I just caught the replay for the show with Renee and I cannot believe it. And she was just like, she's even more incredible than I thought she was. Right. So, it's just, awesome. It's so amazing. So super glad to see your beautiful face this morning.
Yes. Thank you so much for joining us. We also have Carmen coming in from California. She said, good morning, my beautiful badasses. And so I, can't wait to later on this year, I'm going to be seeing Carmen. If I can take just a moment, I'm having a 50th birthday. And I have invited the world.
Come to me.
And it'll be interesting. I don't know. Like I have a lot of people that are not in the state of Georgia that say that they're coming. I have someone from the UK that says that they're coming. I'm just like, oh my gosh. Like if it ends up being true, like that'll be pretty damn cool.
Is it Roxanne?
Yes.
Oh my God. That would be so cool.
I know.
She's a psychic. So it would be so fun. I'm just filling everyone else in. It would be so fun to be at a party with a psychic.
And then we also have Jake. So Jake is joining us. Good morning, Jake.
Good morning, Jake.
So I'm not sure, is this your first time joining us? And so let us know.
Yeah, it's his first time saying hello, at least.
Exactly. And so Bruce, he said, hey, badass ladies, and he wants to know, like, how are you? Like, yes, you injured your middle finger, but how are you? What happened? Tell the world.
Yes, I am fine. It's okay. There isn't a huge chunk missing. I was chopping veggies. I had a lot going on, and I will tell you a little bit.
Broccoli.
Chopping broccolini. No, it was bell peppers, and so I do everything fast, and I was going to say somewhat, but that's not extremely aggressive. So with I don't know I type aggressively, I wash dishes aggressively, when I'm doing things with my hands, it's very aggressive. And so chopping vegetables in the kitchen is no different. And of course I love sharp knives and I love speed. So, yeah. So this is not the first time you're like, did you say you love speed?
I know you love the chopping aggressively, speed, and just like Kate,
Sharp knives.
Yeah, sharp knives, like all those things together. Like, of course, you're gonna
It's a recipe for disaster, literally.
Slow down.
I know. So
did you just give us the finger?
I did.
Stephanie's here. She said, "Kate, laugh out loud."
Wait, can we pause?
Yes.
Okay. Drum roll.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Stephanie Reynoso. Stephanie was voted into the President's Club at Del Tech and got to go on a 5-star all-inclusive vacation. She just got back, and she received an award that she, was shocked by, and it sounded like an amazing experience. And her daughter was there to witness it, and just so cool. So we just wanted to say congratulations.
Congratulations. So well deserved. And I'm so glad that they voted you. I'm not sure what the specific word or the award was. So let us know, what was the award that you won? But I got to tell you, Stephanie has been amazing over the years. It's one of the things that as she started to work with us in the partnership, I was like, hell yeah. I'm like, we'll take Stephanie. Yeah. So we'd already developed a relationship with her prior, and I just was like, she's amazing. And I was mad whenever they took her away. And then when they gave her back, I was like, yes. So congratulations. So well deserved. Let us know what the specific award was, Stephanie, and definitely, tell us a little bit more about what it was.
Yeah, it was like a rising star or something, because, Stephanie, I didn't know all of this, but I mean, she has been all over Del Tech. Mm-hmm. She has worked in lots of different areas. So she's fairly new to the area that she's in-ish, considering. So
she said, thank you, Kate. Thank you, Sarah. And Sarah, thank you for your impact on my journey. Absolutely. Yes, she said, that it was called the Breakout Star of the Year. It's about time they started to recognize you.
Yes. And this, she was in a state of shock when she heard it.
Awesome. And so Renee also said, you rock star, Stephanie. Congrats. Well-deserved, miss you. So, yeah. Yes. So she said, thank you. So that's great. We just wanted to call her out this morning. Kate said something to me, and I'm like, well, we have to say something this morning about her, because she joins us, and she's been a part of our journey professionally also on this. And so I was like, do you think she'll mind? And we're just like, that's okay. Even if she doesn't. We want her to know how amazing she is.
Right. Yeah. I mean, nothing's like, this is the secondary shock at this point. So she's already had the big shock. So
yeah.
we
Oh,
can't-
that must have been amazing.
Mhm.
And Stephanie is joining us as well. She said, "Hey, lovely badasses." And so good morning, Stephanie. So we have two new CRM consultants, and Stephanie is one of them. And both of them are rocking it, and they're rocking it in their in the areas that they're amazing at. And so one of the things, whenever I look for people, I try to look at what it is that I think that they would be amazing at, and try to set them up for those types of things. And I can tell you that it's been really cool to have two people join and the sort of the same roles and mentor both of them at the same time. It honestly is a little easier. I'll admit, because one, I'm training both of them, and then I also have Amanda Roussel training them at the same time, and then they're also helping each other. So like Stephanie has been taking the lead. She's so organized, and she's like, "Hey, I've been doing this," and she's like, "I'm going to share it with Wesley," and then Wesley does some things, and he's sharing it with her. So it's just been a really cool experience to do.
Yeah, I know. And we talked about it. We wanted to make this happen in other departments. We have been saying, like, do more than one at once. Let's go. And I'm just so thrilled that it worked out and you got to kind of like live it first, right? Like,
yeah,
this has been so great. And the collaboration, because we're a super collaborative group, right? Yes. One of the things that Stephanie and Kim and I were talking about this morning is how difference between large corporation and small corporation when you're talking sales team, right?
Right.
So there's a lot of advantages to being small, in my opinion. But one of the disadvantages is that there's no things like President's Club, right? Like, you can't afford to do these lavish, ridiculously lavish trips, which are amazing and they sound great, but just doesn't, it's like, yeah, that's a big company thing, right? That just is reality. But one of the disadvantages, in the large organization is the lack of collaboration. You're kind of an island when you're a salesperson in those organizations. Yeah, you get a lot of support and resources, but it's competitive. You are vying for your spot to get into the President's Club. I know I've consulted over the years to large sales organizations, and I get it. You want each other to win, but you also, you want to win. and that's why they do it, right?
Yes.
So this is another great example of, we're already collaborative, but then you bring two people on into the same team and they immediately start collaborating with each other, which is awesome.
Yeah, I love it. By the way, Bruce said, "Congratulations, Stephanie." Eric said, "Awesome, Stephanie. Congrats." And Stephanie, we have two Stephanies now. Stephanie with a Y, Stephanie with an IE. She said, "I love my full sale team." And she also then congratulated, yay, new Stephanie, but this Stephanie's with a Y. And so Stephanie said, "It's been incredible, loving how collaborative it has been, and happy we're jumping into brainstorming sessions together already." She said, "Whoop, whoop, whoop." And Eric also just said, "Hey, good morning, badasses."
Good badass morning.
Yeah.
I love it.
So do you have more to talk about on your finger story?
Okay, here's what I want to say. And I made a post on LinkedIn about it. And of course, we're also in the midst of a big, huge surprise bathroom project. So, everything's chaos. I don't know where, so I made this post on LinkedIn about my finger, and I jokingly said, "Please send finger puppets." But I was really hoping people would, so at least a couple. And Renee did. I just have yet to find the package. I'm sure it's out there, but like, there's a dumpster out there. We have a sprawling house, and there's a few doors. And so like, I checked the main door this morning at about 40 minutes ago, and it wasn't there. And I was like, crap, like, I don't have the time to run down to the mailbox or to check out the other door. So it's somewhere, I'm sure, Stephanie, but I will have this thing on for a while, so I will have, the puppet fingers or the finger puppets will be here.
Yes.
They
So
will be here.
I have to tell you, I was looking for 2 specific finger puppets and I have not been able to find them. And I knew you would love both of these. And I have not been able to find it whatsoever. Like I found like bigger ones, like bigger puppets, like a hand puppet. And so I was debating on just doing that instead of a finger.
I mean, this finger is pretty meaty. I don't know if the finger puppet's gonna even fit on it anymore.
I know.
But even if the other fingers have puppets, then that'll make this one feel better, right? That's what I figured. Like,
exactly.
Right,
That's so funny.
Oh, Renee's gonna send me the pic. Yeah, send me the picture, please, so I can see. And then I know if it's in the house somewhere, because if it was at the front door, then I have to go find it among other things,
You gotta like let Kate know that stuff's coming because it like disappears with all of her people.
Right. There's too many people here. Too many of them are feral, and like, yeah, I mean, it's just, so, I have no idea.
I just realized, are you able to hear me?
I was.
Okay.
I'm curious. I just noticed my, is it better?
It's much better.
Oh my gosh. And so sometimes I do that. I forget to move my microphone up next to me because I push it to the side.
Yeah. So the story with my finger, chopping, going too fast. Here's the thing. As soon as I did it, Sarah knows, I have a pretty high pain tolerance. I also I can shut things out really fast if I want to. So usually when a big injury happens, I'm like cool as a cucumber. Sometimes I'm even laughing because that's my laughter is my reaction to most things. So, like when I broke my ankle in front of Sarah, I was laughing, but when I cut my finger, I was so angry instantly. And the reason is because I did this exact thing 2 years ago on the same finger. And frankly, I thought I learned that lesson. Like I thought I learned the lesson to slow the hell down.
Yeah.
I thought I learned the lesson and because the cut on the finger, it's so frustrating. It's so annoying because you use your fingers for so many things, especially when you work in a corporate environment, right? I type all day long.
Yeah.
So to type like this, it's really been annoying.
Yeah.
But so I was so angry. So it was funny because Jenna was in the room or nearby, we have like an open kitchen kind of. And she was surprised by my reaction because I yelled like, fuck, because I was so mad,
Yeah.
She was like, I don't hear you do that. And I was like, yeah, I am so mad. And I stayed mad all evening. But, it is what it is.
On top of that, you had an event that you were going to.
Right. So it was a really important couple of days. So the day prior was the 3rd annual event of something that is honoring my mom, and this event just keeps growing and growing. So this was the 3rd year. I speak every year, or I have spoken every year. I kind of do I do a memorialization or like just a little speech, so that was Tuesday. And on Tuesday, 2 other kind of bad things happened right before it. Our garage started raining while I was taking a bath because the bathtub started leaking through the house.
Oh my gosh.
And then I learned that a former friend had really kind of betrayed us. So I learned these 2 things right before I'm going to speak. And because this event has kind of gotten some traction, the rest of our family members are kind of becoming interested. So my brother Andy flew in from Scottsdale. My brother Tony, who lives very close, but is the least likely to show up to something. He even came. And so it was just a lot it was a lot at once and it was really wonderful. But because they were all in town, we decided to have a party the next day. So I had taken time off work. I was prepping, my dad and I had a menu. He was doing the majority of the work and I was doing some of it. So I was literally, cutting the vegetables for like it was an hour before the party. I was doing the last thing that was on my list of things to cook, and I chopped my finger and, they had to, Jenna had to finish the things and I had to rush off to the hospital and I missed the first, 2 hours of the event or 3, and then I showed up and said hi to everyone, but I basically ended up getting home and getting in bed, but it was just like, it was a lot at once. So, when it kind of rains, it pours. So that was the kind of week I had.
I have to tell you, Maria and Bruce missed you. They were looking forward to you being on last Friday's show. And so they want to come back, and also mainly because they want to interact with you. But also we just had a really good conversation and it also spawned some other topics we even talked afterwards as well. But they missed you not being on the show.
I was so sad too. I was so sad, but I wasn't sleeping. I was on narcotics. It was just, and I was angry.
Yeah.
So I called, I think everyone knows that Sarah's also my boss, right? So, we're close friends, we're co-hosts, and, we have this working relationship. And so she's on PTO and, but I know, like, you know what? Fuck it. I have to tell her how angry I am and I have to get some help. So I am driving, leaving the hospital and I call her and I'm like, listen to what just happened. Please. I can't come to work tomorrow for sure. And probably not Friday either. And she helped me, figure out with my calendar what to cancel and who to call in. And I felt so supported. It was so helpful. Yeah. We appreciate you, but I was really sad to miss, but it just wasn't in the cards. So we will have to do it again.
Exactly. I mean, shit happens in life and we have to be able to pivot in life and that's just, what happens.
Yep.
And so it's funny. I can't remember what, I know what it was. I do every month. I am a part of a group called the Bungee Jumpers, and it's about having a conversation. And I have to brag on myself just a little bit if I could. So in this, there is a problem owner, there is a curious coach, and then there's an observer. And the exercise is about, as a coach, not solutionizing for someone. And so I chose to be, I had election because I kicked ass in the challenge. So I got first right of choosing. The first time I chose someone else that, I said, does anybody want to be a problem owner? And someone chose. The second time I got to choose, I chose myself. I wanted to be the coach because it's one of the things I'm wanting to continue to do better at. And it was, I didn't violate any of the rules this time. I only ended up asking 4 questions, and that's actually a really good sign that you're doing a really good job of asking open-ended questions to get people really thinking and stuff like that. And they all were like I have basically no critiques of this. And so I just did it. I did a really, really good job of one, not asking close-ended questions, because a lot of times we'll ask the do instead of the what, why, or how type questions. And so it really does help you to open up conversations instead of doing those close-ended questions. And it's also about not leading the witness or not leading, the person. And it was interesting. We even got into a little bit of a debate and whether my last question was leading or not leading. And so it was just a really good exercise. I highly would recommend it for people that are wanting to, one, be able to ask better questions. 2, it helps you as a problem owner to get clear on what your problem is. As a coach, it also, you get feedback. So you have to learn to be gracious in receiving the feedback.
Yeah.
As the observer, you have to focus on the coach, not the problem, which is always an interesting scenario. And with that, you have to really be diligent about, like, is this person violating any of the rules? And you're focused on giving feedback and the best way to give feedback. So it's just a really cool exercise. I've been doing it with them for about a year. We're going into our second year, and they're adding in some other elements to it. So I'm excited about that. And so if anybody is interested in sort of being better at asking questions, being more clear on like their problems, and it's just you don't really realize how efficient or how effective the exercise is until you start it the first time and you're like, wow, I really suck, like, and then you continue on. And so it's taken me about a year to I guess perfect it.
That's amazing. And it's called emotional bungee jumpers.
Yes.
I think you said just the bungee jumpers at first, but
yeah, emotional bungee
you're
jumpers.
looking
Sorry.
for it, I don't want you to end up going off a cliff.
Yeah.
Look-
And if you're interested, reach out to me and I can connect you with them. And so I just, it was really cool just to get that feedback. So
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, that's awesome.
So one other thing I just wanted to let people know, for those that don't know, just a little bit more about my life. One of the things that we have done a part of this show is really to hone in on our mental thought process and to realize that we really are in control of our own lives in some ways, and in other ways we're not in control. But understanding where it is that your mindset can really help you in navigating those challenges, obstacles, things that we're dealing with in life. That's one of the reasons that Cate and I really wanted to do this, is because, one, we're exploring for ourselves and understanding our mindset. And then additionally, as I've been going down this journey, I've realized that I'm getting in alignment from an emotional perspective and a spiritual perspective, but I needed to get in alignment from a body perspective to get more in touch with my body. And so I started carnivore, which is basically a meat diet. It is, if you do strict carnivore, it is just a steak basically, and salt and butter, and that's basically it. Now I also have eggs and I do other types of meats, but I've been trying to avoid, fruits and vegetables, and I know that sounds weird to people. And I've had to include like a little bit of watermelon and things like that related to my electrolytes and things like that. But it's been very interesting. I have maintained basically, I've lost 11 pounds. I've maintained that. I haven't lost any more. It's gone like up and down a little bit because because I'm still not doing, sometimes I have to add some other things for my electrolytes, but it's been an interesting process. And I feel like I've also been processing like past pain, or past trauma. I don't know if that will make sense to people. But sometimes when you are in the past, when you've had traumas or you've had things that have happened to you, you still have these emotions stuck in your body. And that's actually what I have found causes disease and causes sometimes the mental blocks that we have in our lives. And so for me, I've been really working on trying to make sure that I'm processing what those things are. And for me, carnivore has been helping me to do that. And two interesting things: I'm not as hungry on carnivore. It's really weird. Like I don't need to eat as much.
Right.
And then two, you don't poop as much either.
Right. Less goes in, less goes out. Yeah. But also, I think like you're getting, poop is waste. Like, so if you're wasting less when you're getting just like nutrients that your body needs, right?
Yeah. Yep. It's
I'm a
also about getting your body in ketos, so
ketosis, yeah.
ketosis, yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So I mean, I think it's especially in the United States where a lot of our food is processed.
Yes.
And when you look across a global kind of palette, um, we actually here in this country are far too loose with our regulations around food. Many other countries are a little more controlling. They have a little bit more regulations around food that makes food a little bit safer. But here in the U.S., it's kind of, capitalism rules, and so when you do any sort of like elimination diet, I think it's super helpful,
Yeah.
because what you're able to do is, really understand what a particular food does to you.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So like, that's one of the beauties I think of the carnivore diet is you're bringing it down to like bare bones, bare basics,
Yeah.
And then as you'll eventually be able to add in other foods and see what it does. But and what you're doing is you're creating, that's another level of awareness, right? Like, so you're like, okay, I'm going to be aware of my body and I'm going to process through these things, but then eventually it will give you more information, more data, more, to fuel kind of what makes your body feel good.
Agreed. And that's also what I like about it as well, is that you're stripping down, you're going back to the basics of, and it's interesting when I started to look at like the nutritional triangle of
Yeah.
what they taught us. If you take out sugar from the top and you flip it, it's actually the opposite. Like they're recommending, in this particular version, and keep in mind it's different for everyone, but for me, I've really been reacting. I've been understanding more about it and understanding the things that I have to process, all of the shit that I've eaten over the years. And really, it has to do with sugar and processed foods. Like if you eliminate those types of things from your diet. And so I know a lot of vegetarians or, vegans or things like that are like, what do you mean? You do just mean. But it's an interesting concept. And for me, it has been working. If vegan works for you, then do vegan, so do you, I do me, type of thing. So this has been for me, I think, helping me in things. And it's not that I won't eventually add back some of those things, but it's like stripping it down to really understand what I really need. And it's funny because you actually need fat.
Right.
Within your body. And one of the other things they stated is by doing carnivore, especially for fuller women like us, that our skin, instead of it being flappy as you lose weight, your skin will actually go with you. Follow you as you lose weight, and then you're actually building up muscle. So you can't really go by the pounds. You have to start to look at like other things, like make sure you measure yourself. You need to make sure that you're still checking in with your doctor, checking your levels, those types of things. But where fat really isn't bad for you in the way that they have been telling us that it's bad for you. You need a good amount of fat in there. You don't need really the sugars. You don't need all of the extra processed crap that we like eat every single day. So I just wanted to, I don't want to like go deep into it, but I just wanted to let people know that this is a journey I'm trying. I'm being very public about it. I'm letting people know the shit that I'm going through as well. The good, the bad, the ugly, because I think that that's what we miss sometimes, because a lot of times people go and they're in shame of doing something different. They're like, oh, that means something's wrong with me. No, I'm just focusing on like, I'm still happy with me. I'm still good with me. I've become, emotionally in tune with myself. Me doing this isn't about me necessarily losing weight because I'm comfortable with who I am. But I also know that my weight has kept me from being able to do some things that I want to do in life. And so I'm just that type of person that the moment I'm like, I'm going to fucking do something, I'm going to fucking do it. And so I just like had a flip one day. I was like, I'm going to do this. And this is what I'm going to do. I want to lose some weight. I want to make sure that, I'm able to do these types of things. And that's just the type of person I am, that I either say, yep, I'm going to do it, or I'm like, I don't really give a shit,
Right. Yes. Right. Yeah. I'm that type of person as well. You either go at it full force or you don't do it at all, right?
Exactly.
Which is how you end up chopping your finger off. But I just want to quickly, I know we don't want to belabor this topic, but I do want to just quickly go back to, that's something that I think a lot of people need to hear, or at least I needed to hear, like that it is hard to conquer all areas of your life at once, right? Like that's what growing is, right?
Yes.
You just kind of have to move through. So I'm kind of in the same kind of position that you're in, like feeling like I'm getting other houses in order, right? Like my emotional regulation is so much better. I worked so hard on that. And and so I totally understand where it comes from. And honestly, for women, and I'm not sure about, I think it's true for a lot of men. I just haven't talked about weight with a lot of men. I've talked about weight with a couple of men, but I've talked about weight with a lot of women over the years. Yeah. And for a lot of women, I think it has to happen in this order because our food choices and our body choices and our body awareness are connected to emotional things, like for instance, I know, like I can personally remember when I started gaining weight, and it was a response to a trauma. But like, it's a coping skill, right? So like for a lot of us, eating is coping. And, that's why it's really helpful to get your emotional house in order before you decide to change your lifestyle or your nutrition and your diet, So I think that's just an important thing to think about.
I think it's
maybe if you're struggling to lose weight or to be in the body you want, maybe it is something that you need to think about on the emotional side first.
I agree with that wholeheartedly, that I see women that are half my size that are not happy with themselves, and they think, oh, I just need to lose, like a little bit more weight or things like that. And
I'm like, happy, right?
I'm like, yeah, to be happy, and losing weight isn't going to make you happy.
Just like money doesn't make you happy.
Exactly. And so like you have to be comfortable with who you are in your skin as it is right now. It doesn't give a shit, and I even put out my weight. Like I said how much I weighed and how much it is that I've lost. And I had people like, what the fuck? Like you said what your weight is? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, I don't give a shit like what other people think. Like this is me. This is who I am. I'm comfortable with who I am. And, and for me, again, it is not necessarily about losing the weight.
Right.
It's about not being limited in what it is that I can do in life. Like I was a little pissed off at myself whenever we went to Project Con and I wasn't able to do a roller coaster. Like I wanted to fucking do the roller coaster, and I was like, okay, like that's just what I'm having, to deal with. And I sort of like brushed it off, but it bothered me. I'm like, I don't like being limited in what it is that I can do in adventures and things like that. And so when we were going to Hawaii, the reason that this started is I started looking at going on a helicopter and they had limitations. And I was like, well, shit. I'm like, this is on my bucket list. Like I've done a roller coaster, but I haven't done a helicopter. So I was like, I'm going to fucking do it. Like I want to be, these are two things that I want to do. So I was like, hey, Jay, I'm like, do you want to do this with me? And he was on board. Like he hasn't been as strict as me, but he's still been supporting me. Like he's still been like really focusing on eggs and meat and things like that. He's still been doing his extra shit. But he's been helping me as far as making sure that I'm able to stay strict on what it is that I need. So I've really appreciated his support in this.
I love it. I love it. For me, I have weighed for years. I was plateaued and very much stuck at the weight of 365, in which I thought I really wanted to. I just never had the rigor or the consistency, but I really wanted to take a picture of myself doing something ridiculous for every day of the year, and then create a calendar of 365 days of 365 pounds. I just thought that would be hilarious, but I never did it. But anyway, went to the, we had we had a really rough times in our family when Oscar had to leave and go into a residential treatment program. So there were a couple years there where my eating, like my coping, just came kind of back up to rear its ugly head. So for me, the switch was flipped. I hit 400 pounds. And when I saw that on the scale, I was like, for me, for whatever reason, for a lot of people, 365 would be like, what? But when I hit 400, I was like, oh, fuck no. So I'm down to 345. I've lost over 50 pounds, and I'm doing it just really slow because that's what feels right to me. But I'll get there, but I'm really pleased because I'm already past, I'm already below 20 pounds below, where that plateau was. And that plateau was for like 5 years, and I would go on and off different diets, but I would, and I might lose a little, but then I would just come right back to that mark. And now I've been successfully under that mark for like 9 months, so it's really been a long journey, but when you see something, you just got to go with it. Right. You got to so when you have that call, you got to do it. I think that's awesome.
And so I also want to call attention. We have a new person. So Christina joining us from YouTube. Welcome. Let us know where you're coming from and how it is you found us. Yeah. And so welcome. Oh, and then, she said, congratulations, Kate, on that. And so I've done
that's awesome.
And she said, that's awesome. So there was one other thing that I wanted to talk about today as well, is that I did a post about being the villain in people's lives. And I want to sort of talk a little bit about the elephant in the room in the world. And so I don't want to get into the political aspects of this because everyone feels differently. But yesterday, we, for those that were in a hole that didn't hear it, the Trump trial, they found him guilty on 34 counts. The main thing that I want to say regarding this is that ultimately it doesn't matter who is elected November 5th, 6th, whatever day it is then announced. I want people to understand that it is about us creating the world we want to see. It is about this. It is about the people that you're choosing to connect with in life. So despite what you and I may perceive and how we may perceive the results of that trial and then eventually the election and things like that, we are making our own world as we want to see it. And so I want people to understand that if we think that the world is shit, yep, it is shit. If we are seeing the beauty in the people that we are surrounding ourselves with, we will see beauty. And so the reason that I posted what I posted the other day is that in some people's views, Trump, Biden, even us, we are seen as villains. And in other cases, we are seen as compassionate, loving individuals. There is duality in life. Nobody is one singular thing. Life is gray. We don't understand other people's situations. We don't understand the things that they grew up with. Right. There is the dark and the light on both sides. That's our perception versus understanding and taking time to really speak to people and understanding their perspective in life. We can never truly understand someone else's situation without being actually in their shoes.
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. I have struggled with this a little bit, right? Because I feel, and I think this is common, but for me, I think about, I have a hard time thinking about people that don't vote the way that I do, especially when it comes to like what I believe are fundamental rights.
Yes.
Like I believe I have a right to be married to who I am married to. And, so I've struggled with this a little bit, even in discussion with you.
Yeah.
I've struggled with this because like these are hot topic issues for me. And when I feel that something is fueled by hate, I feel like that's outside of a perspective, but it's really not, right? And that's what Sarah has been teaching me, and I think wants to spread, is that just like we can literally make ourselves feel a certain way. Like if I am in a grumpy mood and I decide to use a coping skill and I put on a song and I make the choice and that song makes me happier, I did that. Like that was me. That wasn't someone else. That wasn't, anyone else. Maybe it was some divine intervention or my higher self or God or somebody giving me that idea or whatever, but it was still, I acted on it. I had to make that choice. Right. And so if you take that simple thought and you expand it out, we really can create the world that we want to be in. At least, and it starts inside of our heads, and then, we can do that with others around us, hopefully. And yeah, it's a part of why we're doing this, is because if we can help more people feel some love and some light and some kindness and some of the really positive things, even though we talk about dark things, but to see the positive in the dark, that will hopefully be a ripple effect, and we'll be able to create more of that and spread more of that.
I agree wholeheartedly. And Carmen says, we are what we think and those we're around. And
Yes.
so for me, that was really the reason for BOYBAS, is that I knew that I couldn't do anything on the level that I really would love to be able to do it. But I was like, you know what? I'm going to focus on the people that do know me, the people that I can potentially impact. And so, every week you listen to the things that we talk about, the people that we bring on, you interact with each other, and it's about gaining a connection with people that may also have different thoughts than you, experiences than you. And so what I love about, one of the things that we insist is when people come on this show, they have to be vulnerable. They don't have to be vulnerable about everything. Like sometimes we have people that are like, they do certain things to protect themselves or protect other people. And, but ultimately it's about being vulnerable, and that shouldn't be seen as a weakness. That really is a strength, because the moment you become vulnerable, like me even saying, you saying your weight, me saying, my weight, that's us being vulnerable. People can judge you, people can shame you, and you're like, fuck you. I'm not going to let you shame me. Like, I'm going to take power back and own, my dark. I'm going to own the things that people might want to shame you on. I'm just going to like put it out there. And the moment you do that, then you're taking back your power. That's just like anybody that's sharing their story. The reason that they're doing it, I think that as they start to do it, they start to heal. They don't even understand by talking about these things publicly, and they haven't even told half the people that they really know. It's a part of a healing process of saying, yep, this happened to me, and guess what? I'm still standing. I still believe in me. I'm still going to be strong. And that is what I want people to understand in life, that it doesn't matter the shit that happens to you. What are you going to do to come back and take your power back?
Right. And we're all influenced by the things we read, by the things we see, by everything, right? So it's so important to like what Carmen said, to surround yourself with those that are either similar or that like want the same things or that can inspire you in different ways. You know, that's just reality. You
Yeah.
know, that we are what we think and act and do. So, and we all know that. It's just sometimes hard, you know, to
Yeah.
remember that and the
I
thing
would
that
also add, and include yourself around people that aren't like you. Um,
right for some
but
different, yeah,
yes, but also people that still have like the similar love and kindness type
right,
of aspects. That's what I try to focus on. Like there are people in my lives that think differently than me, and we sometimes will like go back and forth, but we ultimately, if push came to shove and life got hard and we had to survive, like I know that I could still depend upon these individuals and they know that they could still depend upon me, because
yeah,
that's what it's about, is that type of connection in life, is finding the people that really care about each other and can connect and can find the commonality within ourselves versus the adversity and the differences of why it is we shouldn't be friends.
right, yep, and yeah, and so it's dialectical, right? It's
Yeah.
there's a balance there, right? It's both, you know, like so there in every single person there is good and bad, like if you want to call it bad, you
Yeah.
know, it's not necessary, but it's all there, you know, we all make mistakes, we all have made choices that we don't, you know, that we don't want to repeat, you know, we're all humans. So even Donald Trump, you know,
Mhm.
who has, you know, in my opinion, done a lot of things wrong. You know, there is still good in him in some way, right? And when we don't, you know, we may not see it, we may not care, you know, we may,
Mhm.
but the truth is that it's all dialectical, you know,
And
both
I think the
be
same
true at one
thing
time.
for
And
all
that's
the
why,
other.
like, he can be a hero to some person and he can be a villain to another, right? Like, and
Correct.
that doesn't mean the person that thinks that he's a hero, you know, is wrong. I mean,
Right.
he's literally their hero, you know, like I don't necessarily get it, you know, but just like, you know, I don't understand why, you know, he could be a villain in all situations, right? Like you
Mhm.
have to like recognize.
I think what Carol said here, she said, "Are you referring to honest conversations based on intellect and experience designed to further personal development?" Something like that. To me, it's just about honest conversations, period. But the honest conversation is about with yourself. Like, that's where the honest conversation needs to happen. As a person, are we growing ourselves and learning for ourselves? Because, yes, we want to make an impact with other people, but ultimately, are you being honest with yourself in your growth and in personal development, as you're doing things? And we have to understand that different people are on different paths and they may have different purposes in life. And I think that, when we look at the political, landscape, everyone has different purposes. And why sometimes people like Trump is because they want the chaos. They want the whole system to be brought down, and that is why they believe in him. Where
Mhm.
other people are like, no, I need the stability, I need the security. And people look at it in different, each of
Yeah,
those things in different ways
right,
based on their own experiences and the things that are important to them in life.
right.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly. And then the journey thing, right?
Mhm.
Like look how much it changes in a matter of a year or two, right? Or you know, like so
Yeah.
nothing is permanent. It it all is ever evolving. You know, one of the situations that happened on last Tuesday when I was speaking for my mom, you know, I learned that Jenna had found out from a friend that a former friend, and you know, it was a relationship where we were really close for like 2 or 3 years. And then, you know, we kind of just grew apart, you know, and a couple of things happened that rubbed each other the wrong way. But we still weren't like, oh my God, that's a terrible person. You know, there was mutual respect on both sides. But at some point, this person that was really involved in our life and knew a lot of details around like some personal information, you know, like the things that you tell your best friend. For some reason, recently, something flipped for them, and they started kind of gossiping about us and really kind of betraying us. And I was just talking actually with Stephanie Reynoso, and we ended our chat, and Kim was there too. And we ended our chat talking about how forgiveness works, right? So like, this just happened last week. So in my opinion, I'm still allowed to be kind of pissed about it. But I know that at some point soon, I have to transition into the truly let go phase. And the reason is, we all know it's beyond my control. It's beyond, you know, a lot of things. It's a waste of energy to focus on it because it's not in my control. But also like just an overall radical acceptance of the fact that betrayal comes from a place of thinking you thought something was one way and it turned out the other, right? Mm. So like I, you know, felt like this person does, you know, that I could be confident in their ability to keep things, you know, to themselves and not be inappropriate and not share private information elsewhere. And that isn't true anymore, you know? So like, I'm frustrated that happened, and I feel hurt, especially because, you know, one of our kiddos was involved, and so I'm really hurt and protective. But at the same time, that person is clearly not the person I thought they were, and their journey took them elsewhere. So I have to accept that and just allow it to be, and to know that, you know, maybe at one point it'll come back, maybe it won't ever come back, but that's okay. Both things can be true. We can, you know, we had a good relationship for this number of times, and now it's something different, and that's just reality.
Yeah. And the thing is that people that get to know you and know the situation, I think the thing is that people make mistakes. And right. In your situation, the things that you guys were doing was you were working on, you know, how do we deal with this thing that happened, that we make sure that we are going in a healthy place to overcome and to deal with the things. And the thing is that it's really no one else's business, you know, the things that happened. Ultimately, you know, within your heart, and your family knows within their heart the things that they're doing to deal with this situation. And I know we're being a little bit vague, because this is a very personal topic that Cate has, you know, let me know about, and it's something that I have continued to support their family in, because I think that the biggest thing for this other person to understand is that people understand the things that happened, and they did all of the things they needed to do to try to make sure that everybody in the situation was taken care of. And so that ultimately is what I want this other person and anyone else that may have been told this particular secret to know, is that Cate and her family are doing exactly what they need to do. And people make mistakes, you know.
Especially people whose brains aren't done developing yet, right? You know, so this involved, you know, a kiddo in our family, Oscar in particular, had made some bad choices. He even came on BOYBAS and talked about, all of that. And so we've been open about how much we work to support him and how we to figure out, a path forward to keep Oscar from going down a really terrible road, right?
Yeah.
From the bad choices that he was making. And we got there. He's thriving. We did 2 years of solid work, and we continue to do it. It's not over.
Right.
So, we did so much, and this person was exposed to all of those things, but decided to just kind of wipe that all and go back to like those choices and tell people about those choices, which was not their story to share, and it was completely inappropriate. And luckily, the people that are on the responding end of these, like this gossip, started telling us, so someone came to us and said, listen, I want you to know that this person is sharing this information with us, and it seems very private, and it's very sad that she's doing this, and I want you to know about it so that you can protect yourselves a little and know, this is happening. And we love you guys. We see how hard you've worked, and we love Oscar, and we love your whole family, and just keep doing what you're doing because it's wonderful, and that was what we needed to hear. And it was, but it's a shame when someone decides to kind of betray you and kind of, so it's been a little bit of bummer. And that was what, so the Tuesday of, speaking, I learned that, this happened. I learned that the bathroom is trashed. And then, and then I cut myself. And those things, and probably because my head was not in the game, right? And, like I was overwhelmed because there's a lot going on.
Yep. So I know that we're like an hour in, and I know we had, we've talked about like all kinds of different types of things. There was, I think, just one thing that I wanted to leave with people in something that I heard recently. And what I heard, and this really resonated with me, and I'm curious if it resonates with you guys. The number one indicator of kids growing up to thrive, what do you think that is? Like, what do you think needs to be in place for them? And this really sort of fits with what it is we're talking about. What it ended up being is that it was the quality. Oh, someone said reading.
That's a good one.
Yeah. So reading. Someone else had said whenever they asked this question that it was having a mom and a dad, having both people in a family, and surprisingly, it wasn't.
Yeah, and if somebody had asked me before, because I know the answer, but I would have said like healthy caregivers, like people that can emotionally regulate, or but I would have thought around like, just being in a healthy, trauma-free environment. That's what's going to make a kid thrive, Yeah.
So Carol said also quality time.
Yes.
So it ended up being the quality of the mother's happiness. So if a mother is dealing with PTSD, if they're anxious, if they're depressed, if they're disconnected from their own body, it's more about their ability to be able to show up, how it is they're able to nurture and support. So it sort of goes into the quality time, as Carol is saying. It goes into what Cate is saying a lot. And so it's, can you fully show up in that space for your child? And happily. Yes, happily. I think that is the key. And so it's ultimately like what you do as a parent, and as a mother, you're teaching your kids whether to trust people, whether to trust themselves, whether, to how it is you're going to commit, how it is you're going to connect with people. So the actions that you take are what, are what you're teaching them to believe about relationships with other people. And Cate and I sort of stopped for a moment and thought about this. I waited. So I was 37 when I had my daughter. And for me, I wholeheartedly believe in this, because if I were 10 years prior had a child, I was like dealing with some shit in my life. And so like I wouldn't have been in the mental capacity that I am as I have continued to deal with things. So it'll be interesting to see how my daughter continues to grow, because the thing that I always focused on is how do I support her in a way where she doesn't need me? Like that's my goal as a parent, is making them independent, making them self-reliable, helping them from an emotional perspective to deal with the things. So like I learned a lot after like 37 and probably even after 40, that now I have such a better understanding of myself and emotions and things like that I'm in a much better state now. I'm more financially stable, all of those types of things, where I feel like I'm helping her as a young individual to really grow up more, I guess, not just safe, but emotionally mature in what it is that she's doing.
Yep. Exactly. I love Maria's comments here. So she said that, right. If you are unhappy, you're setting an example for your kids, right? And that doesn't mean you necessarily, like I have a close friend that isn't in the happiest marriage, but aware of it, right? And very focused on still being happy, even though the relationship isn't, the most amazing. So it's certainly possible, but I loved that it was like really around happiness. So like happiness can encompass so many things, right? So that doesn't mean that you haven't gone through some shit, because there's so many people that have. It's about how you handle it and how you care about yourself, and how happy you are.
It made me laugh because I just thought about the saying that a lot of guys will say, happy wife, happy life, so that sort of makes me laugh. And I think that the other part of this is that I don't think that it's not that you don't need a partner. Whether it's a partner like, Cate and Jenna, or a partner like my husband, because that also helps support the happiness. And when you feel supported with a spouse, that is what I think makes things even better. And then they're able to see that relationship and how it is you deal with things. That's one of the things that was funny. We had a friend that was with us, and I was like, Jay said something. I was like, I don't like that all so much. And so I take a moment, I walk away, like I need to calm down, because I have, I'm triggered by this. So I take a moment, and then I said, hey, let's have a conversation about this to Jay. Let's have a conversation. We went into another room. We had the conversation, and we came out laughing. And the person looked at us and goes, is that how arguing's supposed to happen? It's so, because we have done a much better job, because we have continued to spend time on this. And I've also been very diligent in how I'm regulating my emotions, because sometimes I'm like, I just want to fucking smash something. But, like that's how I feel inside. And I'm like, all right, Sarah, like take a moment, calm down. And so you have to learn how to self-regulate, because in the past, I probably would have like thrown some shit and, started breaking, you heard about my Mother's Day and me, accidentally breaking the window. And so, but I've learned, for myself, how it is that I deal with like when I'm triggered, when I get upset. And that then also helps to model for your kids how it is that they deal with things. Because I remember my parents screaming at each other whenever I was growing up. And I knew as I got older, that's a cycle I've got to break. Like I can't do that, because that modeled to me how it is that I should be
You handle the
arguing.
conflict.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. 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 Jen and I have talked about this quite a lot, because we have a succinct two groups of kids. We have our 3 older and then a decent sized break for our 3 younger. And we can see the difference already in, the 3 older. We started being parents at, 20 and 26. I was 26, Jenna was 20, so there were a lot of mistakes made. We were completely different people than we are now. That I'm in my 40s, Jenna's still in her 30s. She does not like it when I group her into the 40s early. But, I'm going to be mid-40s. I'm going to be 45 this year. And, I am a completely different person than I was at 35, and for sure that I was at 25 when I decided to get pregnant. So like, now I can't go back and make myself, smarter or have learned those lessons faster. I can't do, all I can do now is know that I always had the best intentions. I never wanted, to make any mistakes. I always wanted to be the best parent, right? That I could be. Everyone does, or I hope everyone does, but what I do is talk about it. So Jenna and I model it, and we talk about it like openly, because at the end of the day, that is life, right? You all grow, we all grow and change. So we talk about it with our kids, like, do you remember when this happened? Oh yeah, that was bad. Like you screamed and like chased me up the stairs. And I was like, yeah, I did. Like, I really regret that. Like could you imagine me doing that now to JoJo? And they were, like one of the younger ones, and they would be like, no, you would never do that. Like, exactly. That's life, and that's okay. I'm not proud of it, but I'm proud of the fact that I can see a difference, and that I know, and so like so for those, that end up having kids younger, it's going to be okay. You're going to work yourself out. Or if you have, children that are having kids on the younger side, it's all going to work itself out. But, the more that you can really get your shit in order,
Yes.
The better the experience of parenting is going to be.
Yeah. I mean, ultimately, it's about self-love. It's about loving yourself and getting happy with whatever your circumstances are.
Right.
If you're in a situation that, like what Maria was saying, she, decided that she wasn't going to tolerate being bullied in her own home, because that really was setting an example. And so she wanted something different for her kids to be able to see things. And so even as a single mom, it's sure you're going to deal with some things, but are you doing the things you need to do to make yourself happy and to show and demonstrate that happiness, instead of always being anxious and depressed and things like that? That's really what I think ends up helping kids to set up. It's understanding your emotional regulation and how to deal with emotions yourself. And so those are some of the things that we want to continue to focus on for people in general. And keep in mind that even though they are saying the quality of the mother's happiness could be the father's happiness. I'm gonna put that in there as well. That if you're a single father, for example, it's also demonstrating to your kids ultimately happiness. In how it is that you present yourself, that you're not always hiding your emotions as a man, that it's okay to have emotions and express those things, because they come out in different ways for both people. And some people tend to hide all of their emotions, and you're also not teaching your kids that emotions are okay.
Right. Exactly. and don't be afraid to, to acknowledge that in a public way. I would say, it is nice. I mean, one of the things I'm really enjoying about LinkedIn lately is, the vulnerability that professionals are sharing, and how it ties into their entire life, not just their work life, but everything else, and how important it is. But, none of us can erase things that we've done in the past.
Mhm.
We can only do better moving forward. But it's certainly okay to talk about those things and to acknowledge them, and to do so in a way that kind of celebrates where you are right now.
Yeah.
But you can set that example. So if you've, like, I want our audience to know, if you've made mistakes with parenting, that doesn't mean that your kids aren't going to thrive.
Right.
Like, if your quality of happiness wasn't always there, that doesn't mean that it's all bad.
Right.
You just start doing it immediately. Start loving yourself, work on your own happiness, and then talk about it with those that you have parented, and say, hey, like, this is, it's important to love yourself. It's important to figure out the things that you need to do to make yourself happy.
Yeah.
And I didn't always do that. And here are some times that I didn't. And here's how I would have done it differently. And and making those connections with kiddos, I think, is really important, and actually helps them understand it in a different way. Instead of just saying, hey, I wasn't always the best, but, things are great now. Be specific and show them, like, that you really get it, validate the experience that they may have had, and, and forgive yourself.
And own up that you're still learning, because that also gives them permission to make mistakes and realize, oh, I can make a mistake and then I can continue to learn from those mistakes, and I can continue to strive to be a better caring person, because ultimately that to me is what it really is about. Maria said there's no way around mistakes except through modeling. Apologies and self-reflection for children is way more important than the mistake. I wholeheartedly agree. I think owning up to the mistake is one of the key things, but then also how you give yourself grace, and the fact that you're able to self-reflect, as you said, is super important, that you're able to self-reflect and understand the mistake that you made, and then most important, how are you going to do it differently?
Right.
Because that's one of the things that I hate, is people giving me a fucking sorry, and then they don't tell me how it is they're actually going to deal with a situation. I do this with my husband. I'm like, stop fucking apologizing. I don't want a sorry. I'm like, what are we doing to deal with this? Like, are you recognizing? Are you self-evaluating? Are you self-reflecting? Sometimes, and I'll see him, like, he'll stop. Like, sometimes when he's like when he gets upset, when he's upset about something in life, he sometimes will take it out on me. And we were just having this conversation this morning, and I'm like, Jay, are you upset about something? And I'm like, talk about what it is you're upset about. Don't take it out on me. And he self-reflected. He's like, okay, all right, I'm going to tell you what it is I'm upset about, And so, but I'm like, reflect upon that. Like, understand that I'm not the person that's doing this. You're upset about these things. We had, we were having water issues from our, coming down to our kitchen, and, and then the dishes, none of the dishes were done this morning. And so that, like, set them off, and I'm like, okay, that's okay to be upset at those things, but you're now you're like, the things you're saying, you're taking it out on me. And so that's not acceptable.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I get it. I totally get it. Because, and what he may have been doing, like, 'cause I used to do this, and who knows this is what he was doing, but, like, I would get upset about something, and I would be like, okay, well, it's not that big of a deal. I just, will, whatever. But then I still keep it inside. I didn't, like, get it out, and I'm grumpy. I'm not like mad, but I'm just grumpy. I'm not in the best mood, and I wouldn't tell people around me. I would just keep going and trying to not, but I realize it's so much more effective to just, like, tell someone, so that's why, like on Wednesday, I just called Sarah and I'm like, I am so angry, like, or like, I am grumpy, like it's so much more effective because we all get that way at times, we can get that way for no reason at all, but if you acknowledge it and talk about it, it makes everything so much easier. So we are going so over. We should have wrapped up.
We should. And so ultimately, if you're having a bad day, just say, I'm having a fucking bad day. Like, don't say I'm fine. And then say, but I'm working on it. Like I'm figuring out how to deal with this stuff so you can then have a better day. And ultimately that's what we want for you with these shows, is just to help think about things maybe in a different perspective, for you to chew on and self-reflect. And so that's really what we're hoping for. I want to have Cate sort of send us off this week for this weekend. But I also want people to know that we will be gone for the next 2 weeks. We are not going to have any show for the next 2 Fridays. We decided I'm going to be going on vacation. I'm going to Hawaii. Yes. Aloha, I'm going to have a lei and maybe in a couple ways. And then I will be back. But we just thought that it was easier, instead of trying to like quickly get something or do something, that we just would take 2 weeks off.
Yep. Yeah. At first I was going to just we were going to pre-record or do something, maybe have some guests on my own. And we just, it's good to take vacations. So we're gonna, and I've got a lot going on, and Sarah's, heading to Hawaii, and it's kind of just easier to know that, we're just gonna take a break rather than try to still kind of string it together. So 2-week break. So we will miss you all, but we will be back on June what?
21st.
June 21st.
Maya is going to, I said it right this time, is going to be joining us that week. And so we'll be getting an advertisement out there. So we do have a guest speaker that's going to be joining us. She has joined a couple times during the chat, but she has an amazing story that we're going to be sharing. So we'll start there, and then we'll have a panel the next week. And then we'll start the whole process. So I think we're going to be talking about consent. In July for the first week of that month. We'll have 2 speakers joining us, and then we'll do another panel. So that's the format that we're going to be doing as we're continuing forward.
Yep. We're going to try to get a shooting the shit like once a month-ish, because it's fun.
On the fifth week, when we have a 5th week.
When we have a 5th week, we will do a shooting the shit.
Yeah.
So, I think you'll get 4 a year-ish, right?
I think so. Yeah.
So quarterly.
I think so. Yes.
Great. Yeah. All right. So thank you so much for this lovely chat, Sarah. As I said during the conversation, you teach me so much. And we learn from each other, I know, but it's just a beautiful thing to be able to do this with you each week. And I'm especially grateful when I miss a week, so I missed it this morning. I was like, oh, this is good. This is good. This is what a Friday should be, so I think the next 2 Fridays, I think by the 21st, I might just be like a little almost weepy, like, thank God we're back. I mean, I love a break, but also like I've gotten really attached to how this feels, and to how to end my week this way. And so I'm welcome the break, but I'm looking forward to the 21st as well. And I hope all of you have a beautiful, wonderful weekend, and take our break as an opportunity to do something else, so maybe tell us, set aside an hour on each Friday that we're gone, and do something like just for you, and tell us about it on the 21st, please.
I love that idea.
Yeah. And we'll post some things about it to do that. But I also hope that you enjoyed our topics today, and as we shot the shit, and that you felt a little bit inspired around how we can all have kind of light and dark in us, and yet, still coexist and create the reality that we want. And so we hope that we continue to inspire a beautiful, loving reality for you all. And have a fantastic weekend. And also look for finger puppets on the 21st.
Thank you, Kate. Thank you, everyone. Have a great weekend. We'll see you in 3 weeks.
Yep. Go out and be your badass selves. See you on the 21st.